I never thought I'd become one of those people who blocks their own parents on social media. But here we are. I'm 28, working in marketing and living in a small apartment downtown. Social media has always been my little digital escape. I post memes, travel photos, the occasional rant about adulting, and that's always been fine until my parents discovered Facebook. And then Instagram. And then TikTok. At first it was cute. Mom would leave wholesome comments like, "So proud of you, honey," or "My baby is growing up." But then she started commenting on everything. Posts from 3 years ago suddenly had fresh replies. Dad started resharing my selfies with captions like, "Look at my beautiful daughter. She's single, by the way." Mortifying. They even tagged me in chain messages and conspiracy articles. My notifications became a war zone. I tried hiding posts, changing visibility, even creating close friends lists, but they always found a way. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was exhausting. And the worst part, they thought they were being supportive. The real chaos began with a single emoji. I posted a photo from a rooftop bar with my coworkers, nothing scandalous, just cocktails and city lights. Within 5 minutes, Mom commented with a string of heart eyes, fire emojis, and then a winking face. That was weird. Then came the comment. "Is that your new boyfriend?" Eyes smiling red, I nearly dropped my phone. The guy next to me in the picture, married with twins. My boss liked the photo. So did HR. Then Dad jumped in with, "Better not be drinking too much. You know what happened at Uncle Jerry's party." My blood pressure spiked. I replied in a DM, begging them to tone it down. Instead, they took it public. "Why are you so ashamed of us?" Mom wrote. "We're just trying to connect." I deleted the post. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined another old photo being unearthed, another embarrassing comment for the world to see. It wasn't just overbearing, it was intrusive, and no amount of privacy settings could keep them at bay. I started to realize maybe I needed more than digital boundaries. Maybe I needed real ones. It got worse at work. I was in a meeting with my team and the regional manager. Big deal, very formal. My phone buzzed once, then again, then nonstop. After the meeting, I checked. My mom had commented on my company's latest LinkedIn post, where I had just been featured in a team spotlight, saying, "That's my baby," smiling face with 3 hearts. She used to dress up as a CEO in kindergarten, accompanied by an old photo. In a tutu, holding a plastic briefcase. I wanted to evaporate. Colleagues were chuckling. One of them had already seen it and forwarded it in the group chat. "Is that really you?" someone asked. I smiled weakly and said, "Yeah, that's me." "Mini mogul?" I laughed, but inside I was boiling. It was a professional space, not the place for nostalgic parental overshare. I called Mom during lunch. I tried to explain gently that LinkedIn was not Facebook. Her response: "I just wanted people to know how proud I am." I almost cried, not because she was mean, because she genuinely didn't get it. I felt like I was living 2 lives. One trying to build credibility, and another constantly undermined by someone who loved me too loudly. That day, I turned off all comment notifications. It didn't fix the problem, but it gave me space to breathe. That weekend, I decided to have a calm, adult conversation with my parents, face to face. I drove home, rehearsing what I would say. I even Googled how to set boundaries with loving but overbearing parents. I was ready. As I stepped into their house, the scent of cinnamon and old books wrapped around me like a hug. Mom was in the kitchen making tea. Dad was on the couch watching cat videos on Facebook. I sat down and gently explained how their social media comments, though well-intentioned, were starting to affect my professional life. Mom's smile faded. "But I only say those things because I'm proud of you," she whispered. Dad added, "We thought you liked it when we engaged with your posts. We're just trying to be part of your world." My chest tightened. I wasn't angry, I was sad. Sad that something as simple as wanting space could feel like rejection to them. I clarified it wasn't about love, it was about context. Work friends aren't the same as family. Not everything needs a comment. They nodded, but their eyes looked wounded. I left with a slice of pie and 1,000 pounds of guilt. I had drawn a line, but I wasn't sure they saw it or accepted it. The next day, I thought the message had landed, until I opened Instagram. My mom had posted a throwback photo of me in braces, holding a giant teddy bear captioned, "My little executive in training Teddy read TBT proud mom." I had explicitly asked for fewer public posts. Instead, she doubled down. Worse, she tagged my work account. Again. I didn't even know she followed my professional page. I texted her immediately, "Mom, please, we talked about this." Her reply: "I thought this one was cute and safe. No cocktails this time." I didn't respond. My phone buzzed all afternoon. Notifications, likes, DMs. A coworker commented, "Wow, that's a power move." Face with tears of joy, I smiled outwardly. Internally, I was melting. That night, I sat in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if boundaries were pointless when the person crossing them thinks they're showing love. I didn't want to be the mean daughter. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. But I also didn't want to be the main character in my mom's nostalgic highlight reel. I finally made my professional account private. That tiny click felt like a betrayal, but also like a breath of fresh air. Step by step, I was reclaiming space, quietly, without a fight, just clicking away from the noise. I thought making my professional account private would give me peace. It did for about 3 days. Then my mom followed my Finsta, my fake Instagram. The one where I post dumb memes and random selfies meant only for close friends. At first, I didn't realize it was her. The username was something generic like sunshinemira.93. The only post was a landscape photo, but the comments gave it away. She wrote, "So cute," under a story I posted of me in messy hair and a face mask. Only my close friends could see that. My heart dropped. I triple-checked. Yup, she was in the list. I must have accidentally added her when updating my friends. I felt exposed, betrayed, like I was being watched through a keyhole I didn't know existed. I removed the account from my close friends list. A few hours later, she messaged me. "Is everything okay? I can't see your stories anymore." Crying face, I didn't know what to say. The guilt, the frustration, the exhaustion, they tangled up like earbuds in my chest. I replied, "I just need some space, Mom. Online too." She sent back a thumbs up. That hurt more than a lecture. It felt like the first crack in something that had always felt unbreakable. But it was also the first time I put myself first. I thought I was finally free, until I got a message from my cousin. "Hey, your mom just asked me what close friends means on Instagram. Did something happen?" My stomach dropped. Somehow she figured it out. I had removed her from close friends, and now she was crowdsourcing explanations. That night I checked her Facebook timeline. There it was, a vague but dramatic post. "It hurts when the people you love the most start to hide parts of their life from you. But I guess that's how you know they've grown up." Broken heart comments flooded in. Aunt Linda wrote, "Kids these days." My mom's friend from church chimed in, "Stay strong, Mama, you raised her right." I was tagged by name. No one said it outright, but everyone knew. It was humiliating. I wasn't trying to cut her off. I was just trying to breathe. But now it felt like I had started a family drama over an Instagram list. That night I stared at the blinking cursor in our family group chat. I wanted to type something, to defend myself, to explain. But I didn't. I closed the app, tossed my phone on the couch, and for the first time in weeks I sat in silence. No buzzing, no pings, just me, and a fragile sense of control. A few days later it escalated. I was on my lunch break trying to enjoy a quiet moment when I got a phone call. It was Mom. I let it ring. Then came a text, "Call me, it's important." My heart raced. I stepped outside the cafe and called her back. She picked up immediately, no hello, just, "Why are you shutting me out?" Her voice cracked. She had been crying. I stood there on the sidewalk, frozen. "Mom, I'm not shutting you out. I just need privacy, especially online." "But why now? Why all of a sudden?" she asked. I couldn't say, because I can't breathe when you're in every comment, every tag, every group chat. I didn't want to hurt her more. So I just said, "I'm trying to find balance." There was a long pause. Then she said something that cut deeper than any accusation. "I feel like you don't need me anymore." I closed my eyes. Around me, the city buzzed, cars honking, people talking, coffee machines hissing. But all I heard was her voice, small and distant. That conversation lingered for the rest of the day, and for the first time I wondered, had I gone too far? Or was this what growing up really looked like? Choosing boundaries, even if it meant breaking someone's heart. That weekend, my mom did something she hadn't done in years. She showed up at my apartment unannounced. I heard the doorbell ring while I was cleaning. No warning, no message, just there she was, holding a Tupperware of stew. I opened the door, stunned. She gave me a small, nervous smile. "I figured you weren't picking up your phone, so I'd bring you something warm." I let her in. The tension was thick, but neither of us knew how to break it. I made us tea. We sat on opposite ends of the couch like two people who used to speak the same language. Finally, she said, "I miss when you used to tell me everything." I stared into my mug. "I still love you, Mom. That hasn't changed. I'm just trying to protect my space." She looked at me, eyes glossy but kind. "I didn't realize I was taking it." We sat there in silence for a while. The stew steamed on the table between us. Not everything was fixed. Not everything was forgiven. But something softened in that moment. Maybe it wasn't about winning. Maybe it was about learning how to exist as two adults, not just mother and daughter, with space, and still with love. A week after Mom's surprise visit, I got a package in the mail. No return address, just my name written in familiar handwriting. Inside was a small photo album. On the cover, just us. I flipped it open. There were pictures of me as a toddler in the garden, holding my mom's hand. School plays, birthdays, blurry selfies before selfies were a thing. Tucked between the pages were tiny notes. You were so brave here. You hated this haircut but wore it anyway. This was the first time you made tea for me. My chest tightened with every turn. It wasn't a guilt trip, it was a love letter, a quiet offering, no messages, no emojis. Just memories. I sat on the floor of my apartment, the album resting on my lap, and let the emotions wash over me. All the frustration, the fights, the awkward silences, they were real. But so was this, her effort. Her way of saying, I'm trying. Maybe love doesn't always come wrapped in the exact shape we want. Maybe it comes as stew in Tupperware, a teacup held too tightly. A photo album sent without a word. I didn't text her, I didn't call. But I placed the album on my bookshelf, somewhere I could see it every day. That night I dreamed of my childhood bedroom. The walls were still painted sky blue, the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling. In the dream, I was a kid again, curled up in bed, while Mom sat next to me, reading aloud from a book with worn pages. Her voice was calm, steady, familiar. When I woke up, the room was quiet except for the faint hum of traffic outside. I turned and looked at the photo album again. Then, for the first time in weeks, I called her. "Hi, Mom," I said. Her voice cracked through the speaker. "Hi, baby." We didn't talk about Instagram or Facebook or social media boundaries. We just talked. About how her roses were blooming early this year. About the casserole she ruined last night. About nothing and everything. We laughed. We paused. We stayed on the phone until the sky outside shifted from deep blue to soft morning gray. It wasn't a dramatic reunion. No declarations, no apologies, just connection. Quiet, simple, real. Maybe we weren't the same as we used to be. Maybe we never would be. But in that moment we were okay. And maybe okay was enough to begin again. A few days after our call, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when I noticed something strange. My mom had posted again, but this time it wasn't about me. No old photos, no baby pics. Just a picture of her rose bushes in full bloom with the caption, "Sometimes you just need to stop and breathe." Rose, I blinked at the screen. It was so normal, so unlike her usual posts. No hashtags, no tagging me, just flowers. A few of her friends commented. She replied with simple hearts and smiley faces. No dramatic subtext, no indirect jabs. It felt like a truce, like she had finally accepted the shift. That night I messaged her. "Your roses look amazing." She responded almost immediately. "Wish you were here to smell them, maybe next weekend?" I hesitated, and then I typed back, "I'd like that." It was just a few words, but after everything it felt huge. We were still figuring things out, still learning how to speak each other's language again. But this time it wasn't about proving who was right or who cared more. It was about meeting in the middle with less noise and more grace. The following weekend I visited home. I hadn't planned on it, I just felt ready. As I stepped into the house, everything looked the same. The hallway mirror with a crack in the corner, the scent of cinnamon and lemon cleaner, the faint hum of classical music playing from the kitchen. Mom looked up from the stove when I walked in. She didn't say anything at first, just smiled. A quiet, genuine smile that held more than words could. We didn't talk about social media. We didn't need to. Instead, we cooked dinner together. She handed me vegetables to chop while she stirred the pot. We moved around each other like we used to, casual, familiar, comfortable. At the table, we talked about a book she was reading. She asked about work, but not in a prying way. I told her about a podcast I'd been obsessed with. We didn't solve everything, but we didn't have to. Being there in that space, sharing food and presence, that was enough. That night, she packed me leftovers in a reusable container and reminded me to water my plants. I hugged her longer than usual before I left, and when I got home, I texted her one word, "Thanks," she replied with a heart. No words, just that, and it was perfect. A few days after the visit, I received a text from Mom with a photo attached. It was a picture of her holding the same Tupperware I had returned, now filled with new food. The caption read, "You forgot this. But don't worry, I filled it with your favorite soup. No pressure, just whenever you swing by." I stared at the message longer than I should have. It wasn't just about soup. It was her way of saying, "You're always welcome." "But I'm not pushing," I replied with a simple thumbs up and heart emoji. She didn't flood me with messages after that. No follow-up, no "did you get it?" She was learning. So was I that evening. I set the photo as my phone wallpaper. Not because of the soup, but because of the growth it symbolized. I used to think boundaries meant distance. But maybe when they're respected, they become bridges, gentle ones, the kind you cross without even realizing it. And sometimes love doesn't show up in loud declarations or endless calls. Sometimes it's a quiet photo of a plastic container, a message with no demands, and a daughter smiling at her screen, feeling understood in a way that took months to reach, but finally arrived. A week later, we finally added each other back on Facebook. It wasn't planned. I was tagging my cousin in a photo, and Mom's name popped up in the suggested friends. I hovered over the button for a moment, then clicked add. Within minutes, she accepted. No messages, no emojis, just quiet digital acknowledgement. Later that evening, she liked one of my old posts, a photo of a sunset with no people in it, just colors. It felt intentional, respectful. I smiled. The next day, she posted something of her own, a blurry picture of her breakfast with the caption, "Trying new recipes." And for the first time in a long time, I hit the like button. No comments. No gifs, no snark, just support. From there, something shifted. We weren't avoiding each other online anymore, but we also weren't intruding. She didn't tag me in every post. I didn't filter her from every story. We had found a rhythm, a balance, like tuning an old instrument, familiar but needing gentle hands. It wasn't perfect. I still rolled my eyes at some of her memes. She still texted, "Seen your story, interesting," from time to time. But it didn't bother me the way it used to, because now it came from a place of trust, not control. It had been months since the drama started, and now everything felt calm, not perfect, not completely healed, but calm. One afternoon, while cleaning out a drawer, I found a stack of old birthday cards. Most of them were from Mom. Glittery ones, loud fonts, stickers of cupcakes and hearts. I smiled as I opened one from when I turned 23. Inside it said, "No matter how old you get, you'll always be my little girl. Just don't forget to call your mother once in a while." I laughed. It was classic her, half joke, half heartfelt. I snapped a picture of it and texted it to her. "Found this. You still mean it?" A few minutes later, she replied, "Always." Two hearts, and just like that, the tension we used to tiptoe around felt a little lighter. That evening, she posted a photo of the two of us baking cookies from years ago. No tag, just the caption, "Grateful for time well spent." I left a heart emoji in the comments. She replied with a smiley face. No overthinking, no second-guessing, just a quiet, steady rebuilding. One card, one text, one tiny act of grace at a time. On a rainy Saturday afternoon, I called Mom just to chat. No reason, no occasion, just because. She picked up on the second ring, cheerful as ever. "I was just thinking about you," she said, and I could hear the clatter of dishes in the background. We talked about everything and nothing. How she'd overwatered her cactus, how I'd burned my toast that morning, how both of us still couldn't believe how fast the year was going. At one point she paused and asked, "Hey, do you remember that old karaoke machine we used to have?" I laughed. "You mean the one where we'd scream sing Celine Dion like it was a world tour?" She burst into laughter. "That's the one." For a moment we were right back in that living room, me in pajamas, her in a hair towel, both of us holding pretend microphones. We didn't talk about boundaries or social media. We didn't need to. This conversation was different. It wasn't about repairing what was broken. It was about enjoying what had quietly mended. And when we hung up, she said, "Love you, honey." I said, "Love you too, Mom." And I meant it deeply, freely, without the weight we used to carry. The next weekend, Mom invited me over to bake cookies together, just like old times. I brought chocolate chips. She had everything else. The kitchen was already warm when I arrived, cinnamon in the air and jazz playing softly on the radio. She wore the same faded apron she'd had for years, and when I commented on it, she winked and said, "Tradition." We sifted flour, spilled a bit of sugar, and taste-tested way too much dough. At one point, she pulled out her phone and said, "Should we take a selfie?" I hesitated. There was a time that question would have made me cringe, but now I nodded. We took a goofy, flower-covered picture. She didn't post it. She just set it as her lock screen. That said more than any caption ever could. After the cookies were in the oven, we sat on the floor with mugs of milk, watching them rise. She reached over, gave my hand a quick squeeze, and said, "I missed this." I smiled. Me too. No drama, no overthinking. Just two women, mother and daughter, finding their way back through laughter, cookies, and the quiet kind of love that doesn't need words to be felt. A few days later, Mom sent me a voice message. Not a call, just a short, shy recording. In it, she said, "Hey, I just heard a song on the radio that reminded me of you, that one you used to sing in the car when you were little." I smiled so hard I had to pull over. Just wanted to say that I love you. No need to reply, just wanted you to know. I sat there for a long moment after it played. It was only 20 seconds, but it carried more warmth than any long conversation we'd had in months. I replayed it 3 times. That night I recorded one back. "Hi Mom, that song, still a banger. I miss those car rides too. Thanks for remembering, I love you." I didn't overthink it, I didn't script it, I just hit send. The next day she replied with a heart emoji and nothing else, and it was perfect. We'd spent so long trying to figure out how to talk to each other without stepping on toes. But now, it felt like we'd found our way back to a language that was simple, honest, and deeply us. This morning I woke up to a notification, one memory from 10 years ago. I tapped on it. It was a photo of me and Mom on a beach trip, sunburned noses, wind-blown hair, both of us holding melting ice cream cones and laughing uncontrollably. I stared at it for a long time, not because I missed the past, but because I finally felt peace in the present. We'd been through a lot, silent tension, digital boundary wars, awkward pauses, guilt, frustration. But somehow we made it out the other side, softer, kinder. I reposted the photo to my story, no caption, just a heart emoji. Minutes later, Mom replied with, "Still my favorite day? Red, that was it, and that was enough." Because now we didn't need constant validation or over-explaining or emotional tug-of-war. We just needed space to grow and grace to return. Blocking her had once felt like an act of rebellion. Now I understood it was a step toward learning how to love without losing myself. And as I sipped my coffee and looked out at the quiet morning sky, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: gratitude. For her, for me, for the messy, beautiful in-between that somehow led us here.